Hi, Tracy Lewis from Stuffin' Things. Today I am going to walk through making this card using the Weather Together Stampin' Up set and the dies that I bought together as a bundle. This card has a background that I'm going to show how I made today. I used my MISTI and I chose to use a watery white ink. I have two white inks. One is the Color Box ink and the other is Stays On Opaque. And I find that the Color Box is a very liquidy type of a watercolor look white, and that is what I chose to use to make this card. The set, Weather Together, comes with umbrellas, some presents, as well as some really cute sentiments that we will go over. And this is the die set that it comes with, of which we're going to be using this die, the large cloud die, and the handle, which actually is already made. So a few of the pieces have been made, and we're going to stamp a couple of the pieces to get everything put together. So I have a need to make one more cloud. I already have the handle, and I need to make the umbrella top. So what colors I used this Brilliance Rocket Red Gold to make the top, which is right here, and you can see it has a sheen to it. And then I used Distress Ink Tumbled Glass for making the cloud outline. The sentiment was used, upside down, was made with Memento. And this is the wet Color Box ink that I will use to make the background. I have two sizes of MISTIs, and I use them for different purposes. In the case of making the umbrella top, this is the smallest size MISTI. That's A2 size. And then I have a larger size MISTI that I do use for doing backgrounds where I have to actually overlap my images off the edge. So the first thing I'm going to do is put in white. For photopolymer stamps that do not have a sponge, you leave the foam. That way you get a good solid image when you stamp, because there's some give. So in the case of the cloud, which is what I'm going to make, I only need one more because I had some left over from the first card that I made. I'm going to pick an upper corner. I place it stamp side down. I close the lid, and then I pick it back up. I add my magnets to hold the sheet down. I ink my cloud. The nice thing about the MISTI is if I stamp it once and I miss a part of it, in this case I like all of it, but I could always go back over multiple times and it will always repeat in the exact same space. The sentiment that I'm going to choose is this same Wishing You Brighter Days. I like this for either a get well or a sympathy card or just an encouragement card for somebody who's having a rough time. I'm going to go ahead and line it up at the bottom of the cloud, just like I did with the Wishing You Brighter Days. It's a fairly wide band of white, and so I go ahead and I can center it by going to the 4 3/4, or 4 1/4 rather, and I have to go about 3/4 in on each side. So I can move it over a little bit. And then to check for the horizontal alignment is I pick a line. This is an engraved line on the plastic. And I see that it lines up and it looks good to me. So now I'm going to ink up the sentiment in my Memento black. I'm going to stamp it. And it is perfect. Remove the magnets, remove the paper. I'm going to put the orange in now, which I need the umbrella top. Alright, and now I'm going to go ahead and do the umbrella top with Rocket Red Gold. Now that I have die cut my pieces, my cloud and my umbrella stand top, I will put the pieces a bit away. And now I'm going to get out the big MISTI and show you how I made this lovely background here. Alright, I'm going to place, I use my grid. Underneath, I do have the foam because we're still working with photopolymer, so we need the foam base for a good solid stamp. I'm then going to use magnets to hold it in place. Alright, you'll note that I make sure that it's squared off nicely in the center. I will start by placing the center umbrella. I kind of eyeballed it last time and I liked where it was placed. And so if I count down, it looks like it's about five squares down. I'm not really very scientific and a stickler for the math. I just pretty much want to eyeball things. These are handmade items, and so to me they don't have to be perfect, but I do check the line up and make sure that my umbrella is square. When I view this umbrella and I check the lines around it, it does look pretty well square. It's a little bit off, so I'm going to move it over. It's important that the first one be correct, and then the rest will flow. Alright, so that's where I want it. I'm going to take my watery ink out. I don't use this ink pad very much because it's so watery, but for that white watercolor look that I'm after, this will be perfect. Again, when I use the MISTI, if I decide that it is not to my liking, I can always restamp it. You can always go heavier, but you can't go lighter. Alright, so that looks good to me. I'm going to have to dry each one of these. Alright, that looks pretty dry. I will clean and move the umbrella. The white is definitely very messy, so if you get a messy or choose to do a watercolory one, make sure you get it good and clean and dry before you move on, or else you're going to make a mess. So kind of eyeball it. Ink it up, and I only need to ink up this 1/2. Okay, that's perfect. Clean it off. Now I have to do the other side. Now in this case you can see that my stamp runs off the end, so in order to finish it I'm going to have to rotate the whole thing. So doing the backgrounds is a little bit of a time-consuming process, but it's a lot of fun. Something that you can say you made yourself, worth the extra effort. And again, it does not have to be perfect. I'm going to go ahead and dry that. The next step is going to be to add the handle. There's 2 handle stamps in this set, a straight handle and the curved handle. I wondered initially why there was a straight handle with this set, but now that I see, for the case of doing umbrellas that are very close together, the straight handle definitely has its purpose, and I am going to use it right now. So I'm going to line it up, eyeballing it. Remove the umbrella top. I see that it's pretty well centered, so I'm going to go with that. And there is one umbrella complete. To get to the second row, if I look at my placement of what I did, I picked a center. Here's where the center is coming down from the umbrella top. So I'm going to eyeball that. Then I'm going to fill in the row below, add the handles for up above. I'll add the handles first because I want to make sure I leave enough room on that 3rd row for the handle. Alright, so that's going to be covered by my umbrella top, and I am going to work with it. This is what happens when you aren't perfect. You can make things work anyway. So my top will be here, and it will look just fine. So you see how that did not apply as dark as I would like, so I'm going to re-ink it and apply again. Much better that time. Perfect. All right, now we're going to work on our final row here. And then our final bottom handle for this middle one, which is actually why we had to rotate it. Okay, once this is done, we will let this dry, come back, and put the whole thing together. Okay, now we're back to finishing up this card. We've made our background, and here's our background. I have trimmed the background. You can either pre-trim your background or wait until after you're finished to trim. I usually wait until I'm finished because there might be a mistake that I need to trim off if I went off by on the top or on the bottom or on the sides. So this is basically 4 inches by 5 1/4. This light gray strip is just a 1/16 on either side, so it's kind of the halfway mark between 4 and 4 1/4 and 5 1/4 and 5 1/2. And then I, like I've mentioned in my other storage articles, I have a tent style card that I can store in my tiny storage. So this has already been scored and folded and is ready for me to do the assembly, which we will do right now. Alright, so there's our base. We've got all 3 layers done. We need to take our umbrella and assemble our umbrella. The nice thing about the secondary piece that goes behind the umbrella is that it acts as also the top. So you can just do a quick line up, and there you have your umbrella. So the umbrella is together. Next thing I'm going to do is take, and I want to have 4 floating clouds. I think it looks more natural if you have the clouds going off on either side. And there we have our finished card. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll have fun making some backgrounds. And it's a great stamp set, weather together. Enjoy. Thanks for watching.